Upgrades.
Hey, it's Jorge giving you another exclusive from Tribeca. This movie is called Esta Isla, and the synopsis of this is young lovers Bebo and Lola from different social worlds in Puerto Rico escape to a remote area of the island after a murder occurs. And this is one of those movies that was just very uniquely done. There was obviously, when looking through it and you're looking through the character development and all that, you kind of really get to know Bebo and Charlie, one of his friends, and obviously Lola, which is like the love interest here. But you kind of get a taste of, kind of what the poverty type of life is sometimes, and especially in places like Puerto Rico, where sometimes you really don't have a social hierarchy per se in throughout the whole island. One of the things that I thought they did very well here was really sticking to the culture and sticking to like Puerto Rico as a whole. When you're a businessman in Puerto Rico, there's always a lot of like just handshake type deals, and you kind of see this from the very beginning. These guys are fishermen. They're pulling out fish. They go and they give it to their buyer, and he looks at him after he gives him the money, and he's kind of like, this is not even half of what I gave you last week. Like, why are you shorting me? And they just kind of make an agreement right there, just to kind of make things going and keep life moving on. But it's really, throughout the whole movie, it's really a uniquely filmed movie. I wish that some of the some of the length of this movie, I thought it could have been shorter. I thought in terms of, because this was almost like 2 hours, and I feel there were some times where it just felt a little long, or you felt a scene could have been cut down a little bit shorter. Overall though, I was very happy with kind of the whole storyline of it. It definitely could have done a little bit of help in the editing side of it, making it a little bit shorter, more crisp. And even with the protagonists and all that, when you're kind of looking through this story, you kind of see that there's a lot of kind of like grief, and once the kind of this drive by happens that ends up killing that this one guy, it the movie kind of obviously changes tones there and just becomes a little bit more, I don't want to say more upbeat, but it starts moving a little bit faster. So if anything, I would say the pacing in the first third of this movie could have really done a little bit better. In terms of the acting and all that, I thought the character who did Bebo, Zion Ortiz, Lola's character, and even Charlie's character, Xavier Morales, I think they all did a great job. When you start looking at how they developed and how these characters, kept moving and progressing throughout the movie, like I was very impressed with it. Overall, I thought this was an okay movie. I felt that there could have been, there could have been a few different avenues taken with this in terms of how this movie could have represented Puerto Rico a little bit more. I feel that was one of the things that in a way just kind of felt a little short, I guess would be the best way to put it. But overall, I thought this was a pretty good movie. Ranking it from 1 to 10, I guess kind of becomes a little difficult, because obviously I have my biases for certain things. But removing bias aside, I mean, I'd probably give this like a 6 out of 10. This definitely, compared to a lot of the stuff that I saw at Tribeca, this obviously it's not one of the best or one of the things that stood out the most, but it by no means was one of the worst things I saw either. But yeah, I would say this is probably a good average movie if you want to see kind of like this. I don't even know if I would call this a thriller, more like like it's like a slow burn per se, at all. But overall, this was an all right movie. I was hoping for a little bit more, but overall, can't complain too much. But let me know if you guys got to catch this when you went to Tribeca. Let me know what you guys thought. As always, this is Jorge, and we'll see you next time. Peace.